Yeah, it's such a pleasure to be part of this whole project, and happy to keep the momentum rolling off of what Mohammed had to share. So, Mitacs, we're a national not-for-profit organization, and so our objective here as a national not-for-profit organization, we're federally funded through ISED and locally funded through Research Manitoba. We're here to develop the next generation of researchers. And how do we do that? We through our operations of over 21 years, been working with all the post-secondary institutions across Canada, as well as starting to get into colleges. So college, undergrad, master's, PhD, and postdoc students are eligible for our programming. We've worked with over 6,000 companies and has developed into over 35,000 research projects. Manitoba remains one of the fastest growing branches, but we not only work locally, but we can work across Canada as well. Just going to go back here, to sort of skipping from 2 to 3 to 5. Yeah, skips a little bit. So Mitacs traditionally has been working with research, and part of the research that we're doing is it is now evolved into a lot of post and pre-research. So we have a whole gamut of opportunities that we can explore through our Mitacs programming. What we're going to focus on is the accelerate opportunity, and in doing so, we have a program that allows us to partner. Yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop here. Dave, this is it's the wrong PowerPoint. So I'm just gonna share my screen and bring up the right PowerPoint.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happened here.
Yeah, that's okay. Just getting to, I can't reach my, go. Okay, so we're here to try to help make innovation easy, as I just talked about. So right now, what we want to try to do is we are trying, as Mitacs, we're trying to help bridge the gap between industry and academia. So we work with industry partners, such as municipalities, to help try and make R&D challenges, provide solutions from the network of our post-secondary institutions across Canada. So we like to start locally, but we can go across Canada. So we're literally able to provide solutions, and what we have created in the past from some of our past projects that you can see from our website, and some of the projects we've done locally, either new product development, product and process optimization, exploring disruptive technologies, especially during COVID, and then the commercialization. So for policy change, for any kind of discipline or industry sector, we can help provide solutions to all those different challenges. So how does Mitacs work? Well, we try to focus on the company challenge. So we're going to have a conversation about, like, well, where are you now? Where do you want to go? And how are we going to get there? And how can innovation help provide that support? So we try to identify the right academic expertise to address your challenges. And then we can make a project as big or as small as those needs are, try to fit it within the scope and size of your desired needs. And from the collaborative standpoint, try to help provide that expertise from the academic perspective to provide you with the best possible research, so that you're able to take that research, analyze it, and then be able to implement a strategy after the research has been done. And it's been tried and tested, it's been successful, but it's a bit of a process, but it does help provide you with actual results and solutions to, all of us can attribute, especially during COVID, the chaos that we live in the fast times and the challenges. So, I say all this, and who's eligible? Well, small to medium-sized enterprises, for-profit, not-for-profit organizations, municipalities. Historically, because we're federally funded through ISED, we typically can't match government money with government money. However, we ran a pilot project last year working with municipalities, and it was a success. As Mohammed had identified already, all of the challenges and all the resources that municipalities have and face, there was a gap. So we now have, it's no longer a pilot. We can work with municipalities for the next 5 years as part of our contract with ISED. And we can also work with hospitals. We just have to vet those. So if there is a hospital as part of the municipality that could really use this, this inclusive policy change that we're pursuing today, just connect with me and I can help vet with what's eligible and what isn't eligible. All municipalities, all RM municipalities are all basically eligible, and just want to make sure that that's very clear and forthcoming. So, we say your business, but it really is, business and municipality. So we're going to help provide that one-on-one guidance throughout the entire project. But you also have this partner from academic who's going to provide you with some guidance as well throughout the process. So the interns come in, they do the research, but there's going to be some academic supervisors, some support from the industry supervisor to provide this translation of what these challenges are for the company and the challenges that are faced with the research project. So we can help combine some of that facilitation and those needs. The idea here is that we're going to try to help de-risk the situation. So instead of hiring somebody to come in, maybe you pay them $70,000, $100,000 to come in and provide this expertise to one individual. Maybe there's a team, so now we are talking maybe multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here's some interns. Interns can come in. It's a low cost. You kind of get to test drive this potential new employee. We obtain the third-party validation of your projects with the institution, which in this case would be U of M, and we would be able to provide that same level of expertise, maybe even a greater expertise with the team that's going to come in, and then you have the opportunity to have this final report in your hands to do your own research as to how you're going to implement that going forward. So from the pilot program, we had to provide ISED with the reasons as to why they should allow Mitacs to be able to work with municipalities. So what we discovered in this small, short time frame of 9 months of last year was what was keeping municipalities from achieving their goals. And what we ended up discovering was that a lot of it came to the specialized resources for short-term projects. The lack of localized data, information, or analysis, insufficient budget allocation. So we know, we're fully aware, and we can have some workarounds. We can have a discussion in the Q&A about, okay, typically, Ryan, we're going to have to go to a RFP proposal when we hit a certain dollar amount budget. So we can figure out how that budget can be shared, how we can kind of have those workarounds for each department working on this. And then, as I just mentioned, the cross-departmental alignment. So that's those were what we discovered. Now, if we had a large group and we wanted to have a discussion, I just proposed this question to everybody, and something just for food for thought, because there might be other barriers that you're faced with, and how do we overcome those barriers? So this is really the discussion about how do we drive that roadmap. So food for thought. What Mitacs has been trying to do for developing, not just with municipalities, but with other industry partners, is that there's a lot of post-pandemic recovery. There's the cities are becoming smarter, so infrastructure, transportation, public policy development, data governance, housing, so all the social science and the inclusivity of all of the research that has to be done to just implement a more inclusive environment. How do we implement this policy change, and how else does it get related to some of the work and some of the other environments that, like infrastructure and transportation and the website and the governance of it all? How does that all fit in? How does that all tie into just the policy? And how do we build that corporate culture so that there's an understanding from the top down as to how we become more integrated? So we'll help you achieve some of your priorities. So we've identified certain high impact public policies and municipal initiatives, and then the data that goes with those policies and the impacts that it has. And we can try to help figure out what those cutting edge tools and benchmarks methodologies are, the specialized skills to conduct the research across a broad range of policy issues. So how can you leverage Mitacs? Well, we're going to jump into that right away. So we, as we said, collaborate R&D needs of your department, and we will try to help identify the right expertise. We'll figure out who that team is based off of what the needs are. That's where we leave it in the good hands of Christine and her team to figure out who they need for that project. So it really is a collaborative project. Funding, we match. Mitacs will match the industry partners' financial expenses for the project. So we match 50% of the project cost. Now, there's a broad range of flexible programming. It can differentiate the different sizes based off of whatever the needs are. As I was mentioning earlier, we can fund the entire innovation spectrum. So pre and post research. So some of the other pilot projects we had, we've now developed a business strategy internship. So as we approach this project, and if it is something of interest, we can tailor the research to whatever the needs are. So if we need to do needs analysis, if we need to do full-on research and hypothesize, we could do it all, and that can be all part of like the entire program that we're going to propose. So for Mitacs, typically we have R&D, which has been our bread and butter program, Accelerate, and then there's innovation, and that's our business strategy internship. Business strategy internship is really like a project-based. R&D is typical research and development through Accelerate. So I just want to take an opportunity just to provide the types of projects that we have already implemented. So I was part of the City of Winnipeg's case study for integrative and capacitating workforce equality, diversity, inclusion project. So we had a dedicated research advocating for this policy change. So the City of Winnipeg is going through an entire research project for exactly this topic at hand. And it's a small project because, again, limited budget, but to identify here what one of the opportunities is that we do have a municipality that is faced with making these informed decisions and trying to integrate it into the corporate culture. But how do we do that when you have over 100,000 employees from all sorts of different areas within a province? And how does the city facilitate that? So it's an intensive research program that'll probably go through many different phases. This that I've identified is just phase one of that project. Another case study, again, this is really to highlight how do municipalities develop projects with Mitacs. And so this is exactly why we're here today. And so this is just another opportunity just to see what other municipalities are doing across Canada. Again, these are just two of many. We had over 80 projects in a 9-month span that we were able to run with municipalities across Canada, and probably from all different sectors and all sorts of different disciplines. I'm not sure what the percentages were, but I know for social science and humanities, for policy change and all those sort of projects, it was about 39%. So we do have an opportunity here to help provide some of this funding matching and expertise that we bring to the industry for developing these types of projects. Again, I'm highlighting this one because, again, it's just the currently implemented municipal programs that we have. So just another example. So we have worked with the rural municipality of Pinawa just for their regional tourism. They've addressed infrastructure challenges, accommodating the influx of regional tourism. I'm highlighting this simply because it is another municipal program. And the reason of bringing it up is simply because as we pursue the project that we're going to be running with, and that we're proposing with Christine, is it is widespread. We don't have just a cookie cutter program. It really is flexible. And the idea here is that as we implement policy, there's infrastructure needs, there's all sorts of different economic development needs that go with it. And it's incorporating some of this best practices that we've had from other municipal opportunities and being able to kind of carry that over and synergize that into the projects going forward. So it's a collaborative research project to help explore your policy development needs. And as identified with the research that we did with Pinawa, it was really an opportunity to explore all of their tourism strategies. How do they put that in line with the community goals, and how do they make sure that the residents are feeling like they're being seen, heard, and understood, and the infrastructure is going to be safe? There's an overall harmonious and sustainable tourism strategy that's put in place just to help with that economic development. So that is something that we can offer for what we're doing with the policy. So talking about our bread and butter program, Accelerate, really, as we've already identified a lot of this, we can make it as small as 1 4-month project and as large as a multi-year, multidisciplinary project. We work with all eligible interns, so college, undergrads, grads, postdocs, and we boast 95% success rate simply because we're aligned with Tri-Council, so SSHRC, NSERC, CIHR, but we just follow them. We're not part of the Tri-Council, but we have this really good joint relationships where we can have a foundation set, and that helps us with our success rate because we have an industry partner that we're working with, and we can show that there's a relationship here developing research, and then it's an internal process. So usually there's a little bit of a time here to 6 to 8 weeks after we submit the proposal before we can get the project started, but there's a real quick and simple application process. A lot of the heavy lifting is done by the academic research team. So how does this all work? Like Ryan's talking about Mitacs, like what the heck is Mitacs? How does this work? So it's best thought of as this triangle. We need each one of these green squares. So on one corner of the triangle, we need an industry partner, so a municipality. On the other corner is an academic supervisor, and then the intern. We can work with many of each one of these. So we could work with many municipalities, many / industry partners. We can have many academic supervisors from across the same discipline or from across many different disciplines. And then we can work with one intern or many interns. That is what creates a collaborative research project, and that's what we call that. The collaborative project in the middle there is what we call a unit. And so each one of those units can be stackable. We can have, as we said, it's flexible and adaptable to the needs. So each one of those boxes represents one unit. So 3 units per year. And so undergrads, they could work for a 1-year project. And then if we had master students, they'd be able to work for 1 year and 4 months. And these are just the values that are placed on it. And I'll talk about the values shortly. So that just gives you an idea of how can we build out these projects. Now, here's a quick little overview. This maybe is a little bit complicated, but as we start to break down what's the cost? What am I investing in exactly? So we have John Doe, who's a PhD student working on 3 IUs, which is units. So over the next year, that first year, 4 months, 5 to 8 months, and 9 to 12 months, those will be 3 units. And each one of those units, they're going to be in an investment of $7,500 per each unit. Mitacs is going to match that. So basically, how it works is that if an industry partner wants 1 unit, it's an investment of $7.5K. Mitacs matches that, and that creates a total working budget of $15,000. So $10,000 is going to go to the student intern as a fellowship grant stipend. $5,000 goes to flexible funds for any research expenses that we're anticipating. So Mitacs can help leverage your investment. And the idea here is that when we get to incorporating all of the municipalities working on this project with the academic research team, we can have a conversation about what this is going to look like. What are the total dollars? We don't know what those total dollars are yet because we don't know how many municipalities are interested in participating. Once we have that confirmed, we can provide a more specific dollar amount, and then we can identify how that payment all works. Basically, this is as simple as we can make it. It can get very convoluted, so this is just what I wanted to highlight here. But happy to have those conversations and explore that further. So our business strategy internship, it could be part of the project because we don't know exactly how much analysis and whatnot. Just to keep it real simple, it would be 1 application. These are just the different programs, flavors of programming that we have that we would be able to identify. So if this happens to be a need, it's eligible to be part of our project. It's where an intern can help the city departments. You can help develop new products, processes, materials, business models, services, which kind of fits into what we're talking about today. How do we build this policy, but what are all those other processes and materials and services that are going to be fitting into that whole inclusive process? This is where the research team's expertise comes into play. So just again, some identifying some examples. It's really the same thing. We've applied existing knowledge to the benefit of the city departments, improve public services, enhance Canadian productivity, and address social environmental issues. So that's Mitacs. We want to just thank all of our partners. Again, I'm funded from Research Manitoba because this is a Canadian, possibly a Western Canada project. We just want to thank all of our funding partners. But really pleased to be able to help provide support to this project, and happy to have questions and answers at the end.